everyone, this is Andrew with Andrew Peche Photography, and we just got asked a comment or a question recently about somebody wanting me to check out their images, so I didn't really give permission from Hightour. If I'll say Hightour, how do you pronounce that? I didn't give permission from him that I could do this video, but I'm just going to go ahead and do it and take a look at his pictures in a video, okay? So we're going to jump over there to his website and we'll check this out. Hightour is from Brazil. So we're going to get in here, and I'm doing this pretty impromptu, but it looked like he has about 40 images when I jumped over here. So we're just going to go through each one of these, and I'm going to just give my comments on every one, but it's going to be obviously pretty quick. If you want to do like one image, I might be able to go slower. All right, so let me go back there. So this particular image, I really like the way this area looks over here and like this area. The big thing that I see about this image is this is too much of the frame. Okay, I might just show like a little piece of this chair just so somebody might, get a feeling of this space. We don't, this is almost turning into like 20% of the frame if you look at that. So there's way too much, but he's really done a nice job with the lighting and stuff over here. And this is a little bit distracting, maybe just a little, maybe some dodging back there, but I think this is a nice image. He's a real estate photographer, so you got to keep that in mind, right? These are probably pretty quick photos, but I think this is a great image. The one thing that I would, again, the only big problem I see with it is this is just the composition is a little off as far as I am concerned. I also think this might look pretty good with a 1 point, just kind of looking at this area over here. But yeah, that's what I see, okay? So we'll go to the next one. And I really like what he's done here with this window pull. I mean, it's really crisp. I'm not sure, it might be like I'm guessing it might be like a darken technique on the window pull, but it's really nice that he's showing that crisply. I think that's, for real estate, that's great. And just a couple of things I quickly notice here. You're getting a little bit inconsistency of the color on the cabinets, which you could fix that quite easily. But we are getting to see, I think he elevated the camera to a nice level here, and we are getting to see this is probably a pretty expensive whatever that material is, and I don't think this should be there. So if he could have just moved that would have been nice. That's kind of distracting, but I think in general the image is nice. It's almost like, I hardly ever say this, but I wouldn't mind pulling back a little bit and seeing a little bit more of this area and less of this. But yeah, I think it's nice, and maybe a little bit more light. We're getting some like greenish, yellowish. I really don't like these type of, I'm getting some weird jumping around of that arrow on his website, but I really don't like the cast we're getting up here, like greenish and yellowish mixing together. And there's ways to take care of that I'm not going to go into, but that's kind of a problem I see with this photo. I just feel like the light right here could be a little bit better, and I don't know, I'm not going to kind of go into how, but like this countertop is really dark, and that does correspond to this window pull, but it'd be nice to be seeing like a little bit better light within the kitchen for me. All right. So this is nice. When you get really close like this, he's obviously pretty close to the house. I do think this is a nice image, and I'm sure the people that you gave it to liked it. The colors and everything are nice, but you should get rid of that for sure. It's probably like is that a trash can? Well, if it's not, excuse me. But when you get this close to the house, things start to, even though I take it you did correct the verticals and it looks close, but when you get this close and you're up tilted that much, things just start to get a little out of whack. So I would recommend trying to get back a little bit on this one. You might not have been able to do that, but that's my suggestion. Everything else looks good to me, but if you could try and get back a little bit and maybe up a little bit too, if you can. Sometimes you can, if you have a pickup truck, you can stand in the back of that. There are different ways to get up a little. But that's the only thing I see. I do like this image. I mean, it's kind of like emphasizing this and this area here in the front of the house. So it is nice. That's just kind of what I saw. I think things tend to get a little wonky sometimes when you're that close and when you're up tilted that much. Okay. This is really nice. I noticed when I quickly looked through his stuff that he likes to shoot. I think he plans his shoots with the sun coming through. In other words, the sun in his shots. In other words, the sun like coming through the windows for these ocean views. And I tend to be the opposite, and I don't necessarily think that's because it's easier, but it's because I like to shoot with the sun behind me because it gives kind of a more tranquil feel to the ocean. But I know this is just a personal preference. Okay, I'll just put it that way. But it is going to be more difficult to shoot when he likes to do it. That's for sure. And that's not why I choose it, though. I choose to shoot when the sun is behind me for these ocean view shots just because I think the ocean and the space kind of feels better. Like a lot of times we have these feelings of being at the ocean or even in a hotel room at the ocean, and we get kind of sick of the sun and the glare. So, you can even, I've spent many days at the beach and I even get like headaches from glare because I'm there so many hours. And I don't know, it's something to think about. Because I do know there's definitely competing forces here where, this is a really nice feel for especially a lot of people wanting to go on vacation. The sun's streaming through. But anyway, I just wanted to mention that. And again, this is not something I'm going to go all into, but I can see he has some little problems here, like trying to brush in his, what would that be caused from? He might be using ambient, but you can see that he's having trouble brushing it in because he didn't want to brush it in close to this space right here because it would get so bright, So you could probably take care of this to a large extent with just a dodging layer really easily. But it's a nice photo. I mean, it does its job for sure, okay? I don't know that we necessarily need to see the full, it's the composition is pretty good. Yeah, I like it. The more I think about it, the more I like it. Okay, so anyway, that's just what I see here. I think he's done a pretty good job. The big thing that jumps out at me is this kind of dark pool over here, the way he's kind of mishandled this in my opinion, and same thing would go right here. So that, and then I know I discussed the fact that he likes to shoot in the afternoon or whatever it is. For me, it's the afternoon, but he likes to shoot with the sun in the background of his photos. So I'm going to try not to say that that's bad because it's not. I just don't prefer to do that. But I think in this image, you should have probably done something with this little clutter in here and maybe even this. I mean, I don't know. It's just it would have been nice if there was something on that table. But anyway, that's my thoughts on that photo. All right. Let's moving on because we got 30 or 40 to look at, I think. So we're obviously getting some shadowy stuff from his lighting. I mean, just in general, I try and avoid this. I mean, what I mean when I say that is it almost feels, not almost, but it does feel brighter right here by the table than it does over here by the window where the sun's supposed to be streaming through, So I almost try and reverse this in my photos where I try and make this area lighter. And then this area is still colorful and still nice and still looking good, but just tone it down a little bit. So we're almost going darker to lighter. And I feel like in this example, he has the opposite. Even though I do like the lighting, it's nice, like especially over here, people are going to be able to see very well. This photo is doing its job, I think. That's a good way to put it. I feel like it's a little bit overbearing right in this area, the light. But I like it over here. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, I'm sure there were ways for him to take care of this. This is a little distracting. It looks like shadows from his lighting. A little bit of ambient up here, like would have went a long way. And just taking out that green, that's just literally like the reflection of this stuff out here, the green. So, we don't need to see all that stuff. All right. Um, yeah, and just the table is kind of big here too. So maybe backing up a little bit. I see there's a few things I see with this photo, but in general, overall, I think people would agree he's doing a really nice job overall. Like in the photos we've seen so far, especially I like the way he shows these clear window views when it's appropriate, right? You need to show that in these homes where they're like trying to rent out or whatever his job is for real estate, trying to sell, and it has these beautiful views. Okay. All right, let's see what we got here. This jumps out at me as a very nice image. I mean, I do like the composition a lot. I mean, I know over here in the States it would kind of really jump. Like if I delivered this, people would go crazy. They would not be happy with like that being cut off. But I just have this feeling in this image. I don't have any way to check this, but I feel like there's something curving down this way. I don't know if that's true. Sometimes it looks, but I feel like this is going down this way down. So you might want to check on that in this image. But I do like what he's trying here. And it looks like he got rid of himself for the most part anyway in the reflection there. So that's good. I mean, I like what he's going for here. I mean, you got to understand he's in Brazil, so there's probably different, most of my listeners are probably in America, and there's a different aesthetic in different countries. So it's hard for me to keep that in mind. And his client may have loved this, but I know my clients would kind of freak out. But I like the composition. I just feel like it needs to be somehow. It's looking a little bit not straight to me. That's all. That's my only thoughts on it. All right. So again, we're seeing this, sun over the horizon we're looking at. He really likes to shoot it that way, and it does bring this really nice feel, right? So we are getting like this weird charcoalish feeling out here, and so he definitely needs to work on that. I'd say like that whole like his process of like brushing in these these bright areas in the shadows and stuff. He's doing something, and he's gonna have to try and get a little bit more accurate with that, because it's really kind of standing out even to somebody that's not a photographer. I'd say like this photo is not so bad. Like I could take a dodge layer and like, because that just looks charcoaly to me. You could take a dodge layer and just fix that really quick. But that other one we looked at where the sun was shining through, I thought that was really kind of pronounced. Like again, even somebody who's not a photographer would be looking at that and be like, what is that? It's weird. So again, a great job with the view. I think he's doing really good, and it looks like he's got some ambient here on the ceiling. I would just go ahead and get rid of this, because what that probably is it's probably the sun hitting this table and just reflecting up. So I have no problem getting rid of stuff like that. It's really distracting. But that's about it. I'm not sure how many panes of glass there were here, but a lot of times if you have the time, you want to kind of even that out. Maybe not fully, but at least to some extent. And I know that's a pain for real estate, but I really like what he does with his exterior window pulls. He makes them look almost like just so crisp and clear. I think that's great. I think it looks great. All right. I don't have much to add else. It looks like his composition is pretty nice. I like he's showing the space and he's showing that view. I mean, I think the photo is doing its job for the most part. There's just a little bit of distracting stuff. Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on. Okay. This is really nice. I mean, it's a little hard to tell to me what is going on right here, like, but I wonder if he could have played with like opening this up, or because I'd love to be able to see this more. Like that big stripe right there isn't doing the photo any favors. I wonder if he could have opened that or closed it, or he probably did play with that, and this was probably the best he could get. But these windows look like it could be tinted, or it could be like a screen or something. And I hate that inconsistency. Really bothers me. But sometimes, for real estate, there's not much you can do about that. But yeah, the thing I see here, this looks great to me. I love it. I think this whole area looks great. So nice job. And over here, I guess my main complaint is I would just like to be seeing this a little bit better, although we can see what's out there. So I think, he's done his job here. He's done great. All right. So it might have been too much time to do what I'm saying over here to make this clearer. All right. So, sometimes we have to deal with that. I know all the time I have that. You just can't do it in the amount of time we're given. And he's even had these candles going, which I'm kind of wondering if he did that in post. I would guess that he did, but that's kind of cool, That's kind of cool for a real estate shot. Which I'm guessing some of these seem like almost like hotel or resort shots almost. But this line might look a little off to me. I would just, everyone, I don't need to tell anybody this, but you just recheck your verticals. Some of these look a little off to me sometimes. And I don't have too much to say about this. I mean, again, I think the image is doing its job. We got this awkward thing out here. It kind of my eye jumps to, but I noticed the main thing I see in Heiter's work is when he's brushing, he's tending to, he gets these, they're a little bit obvious, some of his brushing errors, I'd say. So I just kind of try and just kind of refine that a little bit, all right? So, this photo is, again, doing its job. I'm not going to talk about it too much. All right, so this is a really cool, different looking, and this is a little bit more washed out, which I think is cool, Yeah, we don't really do this over here, but I could totally see, like, another country. I mean, this is a nice image. It's, I think, getting to the point where it's getting a little bit more artsy, which I like. I wish I could do this in my own work, like something like just letting my taste take me where it wants to go, which I think he's doing here. I like this. I like this play with the sky too. So this is a cool image. I just feel like some of the highlights, maybe, especially in the house, need to be pulled down a little bit. It's giving a really cool feel for the house too, and I like this composition. I do. I don't really know what this stuff over here is, but he couldn't deal with that though, right? So yeah, some of the highlights in this, that's probably a chimney, maybe come down a little bit, but yeah, it's a cool image. I mean, it's cool. It's hard to understand like a market in a different country, what people's tastes are and stuff. And this is another example where, see, this is really feeling good where the sun is coming in and he did it this way. And I know there's a big glare out there, but it looks so crisp and stuff. I think he did it really well here. And he's kind of downplaying. He probably did light this a little bit in here, but he's downplaying that, which is nice. It's like trying to make it a little bit more natural. And, I'm not even sure. Maybe he didn't. Maybe this is more of like a... I don't know his processing at all, but this big black spot, I mean, sometimes, that might not have been, there might be like 3 or 4 panes of glass there. It's hard for me to tell, but, if you could get a frame and just cut that in really quick, because it would only be 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. You could do it really quick and then cut in like a frame that's a little bit brighter there. Just so it's not just totally black. I mean, that it's just kind of distracting, and it's sort of a dark black hole. We don't really want to see that, and that's probably not what our eye would see if we were there. So I'd say fix that. But it's giving the feel for the space. I think that's great, and I do like what he's done with this the sun out here. The more I look at a lot of these, all right, I feel this is a little distracting. So I feel like he could take care of a lot of these TV screens, like just maybe selecting it and putting a gradient over that so it's not so distracting. So this is the first image we've seen of his where I would just for sure, like right away, just take this straight out of the portfolio. We're just kind of, I mean, maybe, it's funny part is the client might have liked this, but it just feels too wide. And I mean, look at this. It feels a little too high to me. And the thing is, in a room like this, it's obviously small. So here's what I'm thinking. I'm in a room like this. It has a great view. There's a deck. And I think what he's thinking is he wants to show the ocean. He doesn't want to lower the camera. And I do feel like that's important. So we want to get the camera up here. We want to be able to see this for sure. And we're going to be able to see the deck no matter what. But I would shoot this more zoomed in. Like on my setup, I know I'd shoot this at like at least 12, maybe 13 or 14 millimeters on my crop sensor. And that would emphasize the view more. And it would make it so it's not almost rounding off the photo. I mean, this looks like it's so wide. I mean, I just don't dig that. We don't need to see any of this stuff over here, okay? So zoom in a little bit, get the camera up like he's done, and then do a down tilt method so you can see this ocean. This is the most important part of the photo, and it just feels too flashy too. So this is the worst photo he's had so far by far. I mean, it's too flashy. He showed the view, but it's just, I don't know. There's a lot of problems with this one, so I'm not digging this one. I just think, we don't need to see this over here either. We need to see the view, and then there's a deck out here that we can go sit in our chairs on, right? That's what we need to see, okay? And the more you zoom in, the more this is going to be emphasized, all right? And the less of all this crap that we don't need to see is going to be gone the more we zoom in, okay? So it's kind of overlit, and the colors are good, but this would be a really good base frame that I'd use for and then brush in some ambient. Anyway, we'll move on. That was, I think that one's just got to get right out of the portfolio, okay? I'm going to go back because I saw something. This is from your lighting too. This little, your lighting is hitting something and then hitting this mirror and then it's bouncing over there. So, you could get another, if you like this photo, which you don't, you shouldn't, but you could get another lighting frame, just same power and bounce somewhere else, and then you could brush that out. Anyway, I'm just saying, that's something to try and watch out for. So I noticed this, I'm sure the sun was right behind me in this photo, but it's really awkward, the fact that this isn't lined up straight. That just really throws a photo off. And a lot of times for real estate, we just have to deal with that. It's not straight and we can't straighten it up. But I feel like there's some bowing up here a little bit. And just this is really distracting. I would just get rid of that if I could. It's just, there's a lot of, it's hard to get rid of this reflection, but it's hard to get rid of that stuff. But it just feels like, I know it's natural for the shot, but it's going from light to dark, but it just feels like this is too dark to me, all right? This whole area, that's how I feel, all right? So, again, I'm not going to go into too much how I might handle this, but it just feels like, I kind of feel like when I look at this photo, like I don't even want to go back here. Like it's just this dark area, it's not inviting to me. So that's what I see, okay? So it's not an easy photo. It's not an easy composition you made for the lighting. But, there's ways to get back here and get some lighting back here, all right? And another way to do it would be the ambient. So there's a lot of problems here. A lot of times when I see this, I'll go ahead and take off somewhere else and then try and come back here. Because, it's impossible to take care of this. Sometimes you can actually stand. In this case, it looks too big, but you could stand in front of it. Or there's a lot of ways to kind of deal with this, but I know standing in front of it probably wouldn't have worked in this case. But anyway, they're really distracting, and this is another one of the reasons why I would say you don't want to shoot when the sun is streaming into a space. First of all, you have that crazy dynamic range, and second, it's just harder to control stuff like this. And I just feel, he doesn't agree with me, I don't think, but I just feel like stuff like this is very distracting, okay? And again, this is feeling like bowed to me, and there's stuff going on here. So I'd really recommend, this side seems good. So there's definitely something going on with your process as far as like getting things straight, okay? So you're going to have to correct that. So like, for example, this little line right here should be on the exact same plane as this one. There should be a straight line going across. And I don't have a thing where I can check it for you right now, but I would say it's not on, okay? And this looks bowed to me, and this looks straight. So there's something going on in your processing, and I can't really get to it right now. Like I would have to see you process a photo, but that's definitely just something you need to get down. All right. All right. So he has this habit of getting really like cutting off this area. So whatever that is, I would say that needs to go. It's just distracting, okay? Unless it's like a really integral part of the house. But I do like what he's done here. I do. I'm not sure what that is right there. I'm not sure. And I can't zoom in. So, but yeah, it's nice. I mean, it's a nice house. I don't think we need to be this close, and I'm just not crazy about the composition. I feel like we're looking almost slightly to the left when I feel like he should have maybe shot this house straight on, okay? That's how I feel. All right? But the processing is nice. I like it, I'm not big on these daylight exteriors. It's not, I wouldn't say it's my specialty, but I think it looks great for what it is, okay? The processing. Just maybe a little work on the composition. I just think you either shoot from way over here and show the house from this angle, or you shoot it straight on. You don't really, he's kind of doing in between, which I don't like that personally. It kind of gives me an uneasy feeling, okay? So this, I've touched on this in other images he's had, and this is more like what I like to see. So we're getting lighter in the background. You don't always have to have lighter in the background. I'm not trying to make that a rule, but I kind of like that we have this nice space that we're able to view here, and then the photo's getting lighter to the background where our eye can kind of travel through. And he's shut this curtain, which I'm not sure what was out there, but I think that was a really good decision in this case. I do, because it looks like the sun was streaming through. So I like what he's done here. So this looks good to me. It just looks like, I'm pretty much kind of repeating, but it almost looks like every image, it might be this this picture is off, but I feel like every image just looks a little bit wonky with the verticals. I feel just almost every one I looked at. So in this case, like this center line should be exactly straight. And this is like a weird tip, but I feel like if there's something over on this side and on the side of your frame, and let's say it's this and it's actually not vertical in real life, well, it's okay, because that's all that our mind has to go off of. So you should just make it vertical. I don't know. I do that all the time, but that's just something you can kind of process. Maybe you want to do that, maybe you're not. Because if it isn't vertical, it might throw off some of your other stuff. But I just feel like this stuff that's really close to the side of the frame like this, you got to make it vertical, even if it's not vertical. All right. So I'm not sure. I do like when people put elements in the foreground, but I don't know. I find this distracting in this case. I just think he'd be doing himself a lot of favors if he tried to shoot at a time when all these sun spots weren't streaming in. And I know that's not always possible, but I'm just, it's just a comment, all right? He just in general, I feel like he has a lot of problems going on with kind of the mixing of color. I mean, look at this whole area right here, and there's problems with that whole brushing stuff I was talking about before, and it's kind of inconsistent. You can see the window pull, or quote unquote window pull here. That was the frame he used for this area where the clouds are quite dark, and then he maybe used something different for the actual window pull. So it's different here than here, to me anyway. It looks like it is. I don't know, I would just pump a lot of light in here to myself into a scene like this. I'm just not crazy about the lighting here and the mixing of the colors. I don't know, it's just not me maybe, but I think this image needs a lot of work. I just don't feel like the lighting was great. All right, so that's what I see. We're going to try and keep each of these, and I'm having to process and kind of like give my recommendations on the fly. So, go with me here. So this is, again, another one that, I don't know, it kind of goes with that other one, that other room where This is really weird. I know it's just a natural, um, it's the edge of this, and we're seeing, I don't know. That's very distracting because people, it take a time to take care of that, but, and then it looks like we're getting bowed over here again. We're definitely getting, some barrel distortion here. So there's just a general theme of his verticals being off. And then the second thing would be, this is just way overlit, and, you're lighting it so much that, at least in this window pane, your lighting is actually causing, reflection, so that this reflection is caused by your lighting, because you're putting so much light like over here on this wall, you know what I mean? So this is such an easy window to just take care of. Like, you could just turn all the lights off if you wanted. You would just be 4 cuts, so sometimes you don't always have to shy away from cutting windows when they're so easy like this. Like, you could literally do it in 2 minutes, maybe 1 minute, when the view is this important. So you just turn all the lights off, and that way there'd be no reflection in the windows, and then, you just cut them. I wouldn't do that if there was like a tree right here, and, I had to cut around the tree or something. But in this case, it would be so easy just to cut out the windows. So I know nobody cuts out windows anymore because there's techniques to kind of circumvent that, but it's an important technique you have to use sometimes. Okay, so, and a lot of times it'll help in a spot like this. So I just think that's just such a beautiful, there's a mountain range back there, and he's getting these reflections in the window. So there's a lot of ways to take care of that. So this is another one. I know the view is great, but I would just take right out of the portfolio. Okay, this is the second one. I just think there's a lot of really big problems with this. Okay, it's overlit, and I just don't like the fact that he didn't take care of the view the way he should. This window looks great to me, and then this one doesn't. And I also think that it's okay to have a little bit of reflections, but that's too much. Okay, like if you could see like the reflection of one of these lights in the window, I think that would be fine. But like, he's got too many reflections over here, and that might be part of his reflection or a cloud. I'm not sure. All right. So this one needs work. That's all I have to say about it. All right. And this is beautiful. I love it. I don't have, I'd love to put this in my portfolio. So I'm not going to, I might just take that out. This is obviously looks like it was for a resort or something. So beautiful work. All right. And I like the aspect ratio you used here. It looks like it might be 16:9, which I really like using that. All right. So great job here. This is beautiful. He likes to do, I'm seeing all this weird bowing stuff. And again, I've made that comment a number of times, but yeah, he just needs to work on that. And, I feel like he's going for this a little bit washed out style, which can work, but I think it needs a little bit more development, like somehow. Like, it's just not working yet. Like, this is a cool, I think going for what he's going for can be cool, kind of a light and bright, airy feel, but he's going to have to work a little bit more on his processing with this. Like, maybe pulling down the black point just a little bit, because we need it's a little bit too getting into the too washed out realm for me. All right. And just, the verticals, you're really going to have to take a whole, literally a day and just learn all the stuff you need to know about verticals, because they're being off in almost every image. Okay. So, let's see. I feel like the verticals are a bit off. Again, I don't have the, ability to check them, but I'm just saying that when it looks off to me, and a little bit overlit. Okay, we don't need to pump this much light into this room. Just bring back some of the natural flavor into that room. All right, so that's what I see there. Maybe a little bit too wide. It just feels too flashy. All right, so it's great. It's amazing. I love it. One or two little things if you would have had the time, it would have been cool to almost be feeling a little, see this little piece of this chair, how that's lit up by the sun. It would have been cool to be feeling even a little bit more of that. See that right there? it would have been cool the feeling a little bit more of that through here or through there. If you could have done that with an earlier frame or simulated it with your own lighting, I think that would have really added a little something here. But this is great. The only other thing I see here is the verticals, and then the fact that a lot of times, like, he might use some clarity or something. I don't necessarily, it's almost like, you know, we can shoot it on when it's less windy, or we can kind of take down the sharpening and clarity in this area, because I don't think we need to see all that like clarity in the bumps in the ocean. But I love this image. I think it's great. All right. Yeah, it shows the space cool. I mean, this vertical is way off here, but I'm just gonna, he's heard enough about the verticals, so I'm just gonna forget that comment from now on. Okay, you can take out little stuff like this. I mean, there's just no reason to have that little distracting stuff there. Okay, and yeah, very cool feel though. I like it a lot. All right. So this looks better to me. This looks like it's nicely done. You know, he's having some problems up here with his lighting, and there's ways to fix that. But, you know, I would definitely fix that. And, you know, this is just a nice real estate photo. He's filling in the shadow areas with his lighting, okay? And, you know, a lot of times that's all you need to do. This does look a little bit flashy, but I think in a good way, okay? I think there's a difference between good flashy and bad flashy, and this is good flashy. Okay, I don't know how to describe that exactly, but maybe we could use a little bit more ambient through here and on the floor, and it would kind of help kind of swap the light around and make us feel like it's more natural. But, you know, that's just how I see it. So again, this video, I'm not going to really go in how to do that, but you got to figure out how to do it. Maybe just letting your shutter drag a little bit more in that instance. All right, so we're at the next photo. We're again getting that really kind of wonky feeling with the verticals just bowing, and just in general, just a lot of work he's needed there. But his window pulls look good in general. I notice he gets like some really good clear windows going. But it's just in general, it just, I don't know, it doesn't, I know this was a tough one with the colored ceiling and walls, but it just, I don't know. Just this whole part of the photo doesn't look good to me, okay? I'm not sure what you could do to fix it, but I would say more lighting, all right? It just doesn't look good to me, all right? It just looks like you kind of processed your way into trying to make it look better, and it just doesn't work for me. But the view looks good, okay? So as I go through these, I'm kind of trying, I'm almost getting to the point where I'm figuring out his technique, where it seems like he tends to use a flash from right on top of the camera a lot, which is fine. And it looks like, let me just say, I like this whole area of the photo. I think you need to take care of these. It doesn't take that long, that little flash. I think it just takes away from the kind of, you know, the naturalness of the photo. Even for a layman, they might feel that, you know. And so in a lot of these shots, we need a little bit more naturalness. We need the fact that there's more light over here in this area than there is right here, okay? So that's a kind of a general problem I see. And maybe a little bit of ambient on the floor, stuff like that, just to just kind of make the photo natural. But I really like the way this looks. You know, I just feel like it could use a little ambient or something. Yeah. I don't know what they got going on their little, that could be like some kind of event, whatever that is. It's not very attractive, but you know, he did his job. I just feel like the composition here, we kind of don't need to see all of this from from here over, in my opinion. Okay. All right. So this looks great to me. So whatever you did here, Hightower, I would say try and do more often. So it looks great. So, you know, we're getting, the foreground is a little bit darker, and our background is, you know, our eyes kind of be drawing through into the background, which I think is a good kind of thing to go for a lot of times. Everything in the foreground looks great. I'm getting a little feeling of green and yellowish over here, and you can kind of tone those down a little bit in post really easily, okay? I don't mind the yellow, but the greens kind of bug me when the greens. But yeah, this is gives a nice feeling for the space and how connected it is and stuff. And I definitely like this photo better than the one we saw when we were standing right here and we had that white thing in the foreground, I think. So this photo feels better to me. All right. It's a difficult space. You got the sun beaming through and then the reflections from the sun. So I think he's done a good job. You can just get rid of stuff like this that's out in the open like that. It would be so easy. You know, we don't need to see that. Okay. Yeah, see, I mean, he's doing good. It's fine, especially for what it is for, probably real estate or something. But I would just say, you know, everything needs to be straight here, both on a horizontal and a vertical plane, okay? So when you're shooting straight at something, everything on a horizontal plane needs to be straight, parallel, and then on all the vertical planes, they all need to be parallel too when you're shooting 1 point perspective, all right? Okay. It's nice. I mean, I do like this. I don't often shoot shots like this where the sun's coming right at me. So I'm I like this a lot. I mean, it's almost distracting this, and we know the sun's right there. I wouldn't mind even just taking that out personally. I don't think it adds a lot to the photo. But yeah, this is nice. So I don't have much to say about this. I think it looks good. And, you know, the photo is definitely doing its job. And he's doing good here with these. I think these are some of his stronger ones where he's kind of looking right at the sun and giving a really nice feel for the area and like what it would be like to be there, you know. And he's dealing with all the extremes of the extreme dynamic range well. Whatever he's doing it well, okay? And so, yeah, he's again getting a little bit of that like weird brushing problems, like where he's not very consistent over here. Um, I don't know. I don't have much to say about this. You got to be careful. Like it looks like your lighting is showing up over there. Something was going on. It's just I don't have much to say about this image. We'll move on. All right, it looks great. It's almost like when I look at this and then I look at this, it's like this is brighter than that. And I think I really like this composition and everything. I just feel like this should be brighter out here. You see I'd call it glare or reflection or whatever you want to call it. And then going from here to here, it just, again, I think even a layman will kind of notice that. So whatever you did here, I think you used two different exposures. What I would do is just use a little bit lighter one for this. Okay, we don't need to see this so dark. I think it would actually start coming through very nice if this was lighter exposure, all right? But I love this. See, this is very bright over here, and then this is just super dark, okay? But I like this photo a lot. I like the composition. I would rework this photo and go ahead and definitely put it like way up there in your portfolio, like the first or second, rework it, make it look more natural. And this is up there, you can take these little things out if you want to put it in your portfolio. Yeah, you could foley in like a little, like some Corona or something. That would be cool, like a little beer, margarita or whatever. And this would go right in the portfolio, okay? But I do think it needs to be, it just feels, this is making it feel unsophisticated to me, okay? Almost like we're looking at a movie theater screen or something. So just make that feel real, like more like a real photo, and I think it would be looking a lot better. All right, so he did better here. So he still got that flash, like on camera flash shadow going, but the colors look better here, heighter, and the lighting looks a little bit more even. And so this is a good, whatever you did here is like a good like technique to be using for like your general just real estate delivery, okay? So you're not too wonky on your verticals look decent here, and you didn't go too wide. I can tell because it's not bowing out crazy like some of your other stuff. And so just keep whatever you did here in mind. So this will be great, and 99% of real estate clients are going to be really happy with something like this. Okay, nice colors. You could even add a little bit more warmth if you wanted, but whatever you did there is nice processing. All right, good job. So yeah, a lot of these I just get the feeling this is a shot obviously later in the day, but I just feel like the lighting is just so obviously just like whatever it is, like a bounce or an umbrella over here. It just needs to be a little bit more natural. I would tend to get the best, whatever I could, get the best exposure for the window for this particular time of day. It looks like this was not bad, not a bad exposure, I think. And then I would just kind of maybe, so I do this photo in 2 steps. The window, where it would be like maybe the best exposure I had. And then this whole area, it might just be the ambient light. Okay, he's added all this light and flash, and I think it kind of imbalances the photo. All right, I personally think this is a time of the day when everything's going to be even, like it's going to be close to even, the exposure inside and out. So you should take advantage of that and just kind of tone down your lighting. And if you do use lighting, maybe try and just use it more subtly. Okay, this is just kind of overpowering from the camera left, and it just feels a little unnatural. All right. All right, so this is looking good. I think it looks fine. Okay, so we're going to move on. All right, so very cool space. He gets to shoot some very nice spaces. Yeah, this is cool. I mean, it almost, I'm almost getting this feeling of like a glowing, I don't know. It's just sometimes this stuff isn't, I don't know what he does, but it's so cool. This wall, I just love that. I'm not talking about the photography, but the design of the hotel. I just kind of want to feel more of the natural ambient light coming through from this window area, and I feel like it's gone pretty flat all in the whole entire photo, and the colors are a little bit, kind of all over the place too, which is very easy to fix. Okay, but I think he did his job here. This is really distracting, isn't it? I mean, think about it, guys. Do we need to see this full bed and the pillows? We don't, right? So I just feel like we could have pointed more toward here and seen that bed, and still everything would have been fine. We'd just be emphasizing the view and this tub more. And he does have these problems with his brushing, okay, like through here, which, I'm not going to kind of try and guess how he does it. So, but I see that he might just be brushing his windows in. So I might have been wrong at the start when I said he's using that darken mode. Okay. All right, so we're on photo 34. This looks nice. I'm going to try and wrap it up because I know the video is going long. Okay, so I think he's got a lot of stuff to, kind of food for thought, stuff to work with. So in this case, he got the window nice, but it's almost like I'm going to be mean to him and say, I almost want to see more reflection here. I know that's crazy, but sometimes it looks like there's no reflection and it kind of freaks me out, but it looks great. But it just almost looks like you pasted it in there, and then this over here is really, really super dark. And maybe there might be a tree out there or something, but yeah, I don't know. It's like your client probably really liked this. You got the view in there, so it is what it is. But and then the sun was actually coming through there. That's interesting. Well, anyway, we'll move on. I think the main thing in this photo is he did good. He showed this view, and he didn't go too wide. Okay, so he did good here, relatively to some of his other attempts at these small rooms with views. Okay, and it looks like he did some lighting in here to me. So, nice job. I mean, this looks lit well to me, and so does this area. So I think he's done well here. It's hard to kind of get, he didn't go too wide either, you notice? So I don't think he needs to go too crazy wide. It just makes the room look so messed up. And whatever's going on there, I guess that's the view. It's hard to tell. Yeah, I guess it's the view. All right, and then some of these, it almost feels like you're not going wide enough. I know it's kind of strange. I'm going back and forth on that, but yeah. I mean, I just don't feel like this is a portfolio image is all. I mean, I probably should have been saying that throughout more, but definitely this, this isn't what you want people to see as representing your work. I don't feel that at all. That's what you got to think. Do people that are going to choose me or not choose me, would this be a convincing image to them? I feel like the answer to this photo would be no. All right, so this is cool. I feel like this is a little bit more natural, and he's doing something over here, and it feels like he did it with lighting. I could be wrong, but it feels like he did that with lighting to me. And, he's just bringing that area up a little bit somehow. He's still got that weird on-camera flash going, but it's a little bit more subtle in this case. Yeah, I mean, I think this is cool. I do, because he's kind of, what would you say, just kind of toning down his lighting here. And you still got this nice light streaming through. I almost want this to be brighter, believe it or not. And like almost to the point of blowing out. But I think a lot of the other parts of the photo look good, but it just kind of throws me off that this is so bright and then this is darker because the window's right here. But I do like this little detail he did right here. All right. So 39, again, I don't know. It just doesn't feel like portfolio material to me at all. Okay. So just in general, I mean, it just looks overlit and it's not a good composition. And I mean, this is just something you're going to get paid for, whatever this was. Just get your money and deliver it and get paid, but it's not going in your portfolio. Okay. So it's fine to overlight it and deliver it, but as far as going in your portfolio, it's kind of a mistake. All right, and so this is the last image. See, I just feel like it could be brighter over here. He's done this really strong window pull, and there are ways to kind of even this out. As far as this and this are kind of the same exposure, you got to get in there and kind of cut and play with it. But, and I feel like that's the big problem with this, evening these out and making it brighter and more natural, kind of that natural ambient light in here. This does look natural to me. It just looks too dark for what the photo is trying to do. Okay. So natural is not always good, but whatever that is, it would have been nice to just remove that. But yeah, it was a cool, you took the time to put those bubbles in there. Maybe they did that, I don't know. But it's a very nice space. I just feel like the lighting could have been better, definitely. And then the inconsistency here between the windows. And then also the composition, it's just you gotta get either straight on or get at an angle. It's just, this isn't, I notice you get a lot of in between, like say 10 degrees pointed to the right or something. It just doesn't work for me at all. So you either want to go straight on and go for it or go shoot it from over here. I'm not sure what that is right there. It looks a little awkward thing, but yeah, those are the things I notice. All right, Heiter. So that is it. I hope that helped. Heiter, I don't know. It was a lot. I went through a lot of images. I would say if you're going to get really serious, you want a whole website for just your architectural stuff. I don't think in the US, I just don't think this works like, you do everything. It's kind of like, if I was a baseball, a football, a basketball player, who are you going to pick? A guy that just plays baseball or me? I just play everything, So I would just have a website just for your interiors work. All right. That's another thing. But you didn't ask me for a website review. Just check out your pictures. So that's what I saw. All right. Okay. So I hope that helped Heitor, and I hope that helped some other people out there. And I will see you next time, guys. Thank you.